A very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice on Wednesday evening. I'm recording this about 6:30 on Wednesday evening, bringing you up to date with the latest transfer news. I did a show this morning that talked about a number of players that we were supposedly linked to, but this is an update on that because there's further news on one particular player that we seem to be targeting. And as it stands on this Wednesday evening, unless there's some mystery bid going in for any other players, the only player that I understand West Ham are really seriously talking to at this moment in time is Brighton's Evan Ferguson. Or to be more precise, we've approached Ferguson's agents, his entourage, as well as Brighton Football Club, to look at the possibility of getting Ferguson on loan till the end of the season. Now, many of you be wondering what happened to the nearest damn it done deal for Brian Brobby last week. Now, my understanding is that he was a Tim Steidten recommendation, but that Graham Potter had his doubts over the player. Hence, no deal going through. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's what I've been told. And furthermore, apparently this evening, we've heard that Galatasaray have turned down a £25 million bid for Barış Alper Yilmaz. It's been rejected by the Turkish club. But I've had no confirmation that this bid has actually been made. And on top of all that, despite the latest rumours today that we're making late bids for either Marcus Rashford and or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, yep, that old chestnut again, Ferguson seems to be the only player that Graham Potter is focused on right now. Now, look, if you're new to the channel or if you've watched me before and you've yet to become a subscriber, please do become a subscriber of the channel. Costs nothing to do so, and all the content is free. And whether you're a subscriber or not, please do hit the like button when the video finishes, because that gives the video in the algorithms of YouTube, it advances it and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, let's get on with it. Now, if Ferguson is the main focus of West Ham United's transfer target in this window, West Ham are going to be looking for a number of assurances. First of all, they want to know that the player is available only on loan without an obligation to buy in the summer. That the player has fully recovered or is near enough recovered from his recent ankle injury, and that if he has recovered, that he's back training and ready to hit the ground running, or again, near as damn it, and that the player has got no silly expectations, or the player, his entourage, or Brighton Football Club itself have got no silly expectations that the player will be granted playing time, even if his form is not to the levels that Graham Potter would expect. Now, there's no denying that a fully fit and raring to go Ferguson will benefit any club. But questions really do have to be asked as to why Ferguson has not been getting a lot of game time this season, even when he's been fit. In fact, when current Brighton manager Fabian Hürzeler seems to prefer the other strikers available to him over Ferguson, you do have to seriously ask whether we're targeting the right centre forward to come to us in this window, or whether we may end up slipping up again when it comes to striker purchases at West Ham. Over the years, we know what's happened. We've either bought strikers who are too old and well past their best, or we have bought strikers who just seem to be perpetually injured, or we have strikers who simply don't fit into the systems that past West Ham managers have wanted to play. So we end up selling them, normally at a loss, and then they go to their new clubs and excel where they couldn't have done at West Ham United. Now, I don't think Graham Potter wants to add to that statistic of failed strikers at the club. So I think he's being cautious as to who we get in. Hence the criteria that I've already mentioned about Ferguson. Is he back from injury? Is he match fit or near as damn it? We want to try the goods before we buy. A viewer mentioned in the show that I did this morning that when we go to look to buy an expensive item, say a car, we want to test drive that car before we hand over good money. So why should it be any different when we want to get a player in? Look, if we get him in on loan with no obligation, if he proves himself, if he proves that he's actually can stay fit and actually really contributing with goals and assists, etc., then yeah, of course, in the summertime, we want to go and make a deal for that player. But if he comes in and either he gets injured or he's just not contributing, then we should be able to say to Brighton, thanks, but no thanks. Now, unless this was a player at his peak with no injury record, then of course the club would want to play him all the time, and we'd want to select him all the time, and of course we'd want an obligation to buy him. But that's not the situation with Ferguson. You know, he's had a history of injuries, and this season, when he has played, he's not contributed. And when we go back to Brighton and Hertzler's striker choices, is it any coincidence that last summer Brighton spent over 46 million euros on signing 22-year-old Jorginho Rutter from Leeds, who this season, in 25 appearances in all competitions, has scored 6 goals and has got 3 assists? Could it be that he actually was bought to be Ferguson's replacement, and maybe Ferguson is now surplus to requirements and Brighton want to get as much money as they can back off him? Add to that, João Pedro has made the most of Ferguson's injury absences, where in 17 appearances, the Brazilian has scored 5 goals and he's got another 5 assists in the Premier League so far this season. So I guess in Hertzler's eyes, he too would start over Ferguson. And even 34-year-old Danny Welbeck has gone straight back into the starting lineup despite having had his injury issues this season as well. Now, sure, Ferguson is injured at this moment in time and he can't play, although we're led to believe that he is due back, as I said, pretty imminently from his ankle injury. He missed 13 games with a cruciate ligament tear last season, and he's also missed a further 7 games with his ankle injury this season. But when he was available this season, he's just made 4 starts in all competitions, twice in the Premier League and twice in the Carabao Cup, and he scored just the 1 goal with no assists. There's something not quite right with this Ferguson approach. But if anyone is going to know just how much this young 20-year-old Republic of Ireland international can offer, I guess Graham Potter is the person that would know. But I get it. West Ham have concerns. We want Ferguson at the club before this window shuts, but we do not want to be obliged to buying him if things don't work out. Now, whilst I would fully endorse and back Graham Potter if he continues to push for Ferguson's arrival, how many of us really believe that Ferguson would start ahead of players like Jared Bowen when he comes back from injury, Mohamed Kudus, and even Lucas Paquetá? It makes sense now as to why Potter wants a loan with no obligation to buy. Ferguson is more likely to be used as a backup from the bench more times than he's likely to start games at West Ham. Plus, I would imagine that Potter and Carl McCauley have their eyes on other strikers in the summer, so they don't want to have to spend or be committed to spending any money in this transfer window now, which would impact on the transfer kitty in the summer. Look, this saga is going to probably drag right till the last day and maybe even the last minutes of this transfer window. We've been here before. We've seen this all before. We should be accustomed to this by now. But I get why there may be a cautious approach for Ferguson. And I fully understand it. And I fully endorse that as well. Look, I'm sure there's going to be more to come. Please, like I said, if you're new to the channel or if you've watched the West Ham Voice before but yet to become a subscriber, please do subscribe and also hit the like button on this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'm sure I'm going to see you all again pretty soon.